Hi, Colleen Say-Bakvar here with Trinity Advocacy Group, gerontologist, and bringing you some answers to some common questions. So I wanted to talk to you today about what to expect the first 6 weeks of care management. So care management is our primary service area here at Trinity Advocacy Group. It's really used to help families and their loved ones or people without loved ones really navigate what their options are in the elder care world and also the disability world. So what to expect that first week, those first 6 weeks. The first thing we're going to do is to meet with your loved one or to meet with that vulnerable adult. So that is going to tell us all kinds of things. We are assessing not just their needs, but what are their strengths. Because my philosophy is we don't have to fix what isn't broken. But we do want to be able to identify from multiple perspectives what's important to the client. And the client for us is the vulnerable adult. So if that person is doing very well physically, but maybe spiritually, emotionally, nutritionally, is at risk, then we want to know those things. And we're not just looking at the home environment, but what is just outside of that home environment, and also what are their formal supports. So physicians or banks, those are formal supports, and then there are informal supports. Who's helping to care for them, or are they on their own? So we're looking at a variety of things, and the purpose of looking at those things is to come up with what we call a care plan. And a care plan, if done well, is looking at three different perspectives, three time frames. So what does that client need in the immediate, the first 72 hours or the next 72 hours? What does that client need in the short term, which is the next 90 days? And then what does that client need in the long term, which we define as days 91 through 5 years? So if a person needs help during that next 72 hours, typically that person's in crisis. So a good example for that is if we walk into a home and that person is living alone and has been wandering, which is typically something that happens if a person has dementia and they're just really unaware of their surroundings and they're being found by the police, by loved ones, by neighbors, sort of outside without any kind of purposeful destination. So that is somebody we have to safeguard very quickly. That risk to them, their safety, is extremely high. So also fire hazards, those kinds of things. That's somebody who's going to need assistance within the next 72 hours. Somebody who maybe is safe in the next 72 hours, but boy, that person is starting to really change. Their abilities are not what they were. Their safety risks are maybe not imminent, but are red flags. And we're maybe looking at placement, or they have care in the home already, but they can't sustain that care financially. So now we're looking at a different care environment, maybe moving them to a community, memory care facility, or an assisted living community, something like that. So that's really our 90-day plan. So, okay, now we get an idea of what are their care needs and what's the best care environment. And then we help plan for and find that next location and then help move that person to that location. And then days 91 through 5 years, really those long-term goals don't change very much. People might say to me, Colleen, I want to stay in my home, or I know my mom or dad or loved one wants to stay in their home for the rest of his or her life. That's a wonderful goal. Is it sustainable? So we're always looking at that long-term goal. Sometimes a goal is to move closer to family who lives out of state. So that can be a good long-term goal that we're working towards. Sometimes people are moving further away from family And that can also be a long-term goal. But it is all very client-centered. And our expertise is, okay, listening to what that goal is, finding out from our arsenal of tools and that playing field that is the care community out there, and helping people define that, helping people refine that plan and coming up with that plan. And then the next thing that we would help people do is execute that plan. And that can be everything from soup to nuts. Are we making the phone calls to the care communities? Are we vetting a caregiver to come in home? Or does that adult child or another support person just want our expert advice and to take it from there? It just varies. We have everybody in between. Sometimes the older adult child is working full time, has their own care needs, their own family, so they hire us to do everything, to execute all of those steps. Other times, people just need a sounding board and they want to take it from there. So, if we are doing our jobs well, in my opinion, and what I tell clients or potential clients all the time, is that we're a little bit like chiropractors. And what I mean by that is we get in there, we tweak things, stabilize the situation, and then we back out of that situation. Now, sometimes people are so much in crisis that it's very difficult, or sadly, sometimes we have stabilized the situation, we come up with a great plan, everybody's on board, it's sustainable, and then the unforeseen happens. But that's okay. I mean, that's okay from our perspective. We can work at the pace of the family and certainly of the client. So that's what you can expect for the first 6 weeks of care management. And certainly when we're working with those long-term goals, it's going to take longer than 6 weeks, but you can definitely expect a solid game plan within those first 6 weeks. And at the end of that, it's really up to you. How involved do you want us to be? So that's what we do through care management at Trinity Advocacy Group. I'm sure you may have additional questions, and so I invite your call. We're always happy to meet over the phone or in person as a complimentary visit to our potential clients. And you can reach us at 331-901-5945 or visit us anytime at www.trinityadvocacygroup.com. Thanks for watching.